Hi everyone, and welcome to the Gemini weekly tarot bite reading for the week of July 17th through the 23rd. This is I Am Illuminated tarot reading for Soul Illumination. So hi everyone and welcome. My name is Lauren. I hope for those of you who are watching who are new, that you get something meaningful and maybe inspirational out of this reading. And for those of you who are returning, thank you so much for continuing to support my channel. It means so much to me, and I hope you also get something meaningful out of this reading. So we are going to be taking a look at the energy for the week ahead for the sign of Gemini. And it's going to be a short reading, about 10 minutes or so, and we're basing it off of the two themes that came up in the general collective reading, which was posted on Sunday. So we have Poised and we have King of Pentacles. So we are all taking this week as a breather week to really review the last cycle, that is the last major cycle for all of us, that is coming to a close, where we learned something about ourselves, where we mastered something in our physical plane of existence, be that a skill set, let's say in the work environment, be that we learned how to prioritize our time better, we learned how to maybe prioritize ourselves, we learned how to maybe manage our financial resources better. But there's something here where we mastered something in the physical, and we're now really reviewing that past cycle and getting ready to take the leap right away. So it's like taking that breath, because next week we are all going to be kind of leaping into a new cycle. If you see Poised here, we're getting ready to pull that star. See that star above the fairy there? We're getting ready to pull that star down into our physical plane of existence based on what we learned about ourselves physically in the last, what we mastered in the last cycle. So what does the star represent? That represents our dreams, our hopes, that kind of guiding North Star principle that we really want to bring into our life experience. So we're going to see here for you, Gemini, what that means. Now, just to kind of give you a heads up about the main kind of astrology for the week, we have two major shifts happening this week, which is why this is kind of like a gateway portal week for us. We have Venus going retrograde in the sign of Leo on the 22nd, which is a big retrograde. Venus will be retrograde for almost 3 months in that sign through September, which is a big deal. This is where we are getting really asked to reevaluate our values, because that's what the sign of Venus represents, and bring it into our experience. This is going to be our time where we get to integrate what we learned through having the North Node and the South Node of the Moon in the sign of Taurus and Scorpio over the past year and a half. There was a change that we all had in our value system, what we value. That when we started that a year and a half ago to where we are now, there has been things in our life that have changed, again, what we value. Maybe we value more time now than we used to value. Maybe we value money more now than we used to. Maybe we value ourselves more now than we used to. But there's something that has changed. And now this Venus going retrograde in the sign of Leo is asking us to really get into our heart space and integrate the values, the value shift into our physical experience, but through the heart space. Then the North Nodes now are moving from this week as well, from the sign of Taurus and Scorpio into North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra. So we are all going to get a new lesson on how to prioritize the self in relationship to the we, or our relationship dynamics. And that is going to be kind of an interesting, I think, challenge, a new challenge for each one of us, because as our values change, now with the North Node in Aries, we really have to say, so now I have to make changes. I have to start to initiate the changes now, because I know that I value something differently. So what does that mean? Well, now I have to actually have my actions back that up. If I want more time in my life, well, then now I need to take the action steps to make more time in my life. It's one of those kinds of things. So let's see here, Gemini, what's coming through for Poised. What are you getting ready to bring in for yourself in this next cycle? You have the Emperor. Ooh, I like that. Bringing back a level of authority in your life. And the Queen of Swords. Yeah, there's a sense here of really owning your personal story. Emperor and Queen of Swords. This is a new cycle where there's going to be a similar energy came up in Virgo's reading as well, where with the Emperor coming in here, it probably means that in the last cycle, somebody or something took away your authority on some level or your autonomy in your life experience. It doesn't mean that you were a victim, that you had to be a victim. It could just be that you weren't fully kind of ascending to the throne to a certain extent in some aspect of your life. You might have kind of just like let certain things kind of go by. But in this next cycle, it's going to be one where you really get to take the driver's seat, where you really get to ascend to that level of authority in your life. And with the Queen of Swords coming in, this is based on what you know. This is based on your personal story. This is what you know you're capable of, what you know you've survived, and how you share that with others. There's also a sense here of really owning your personal story. And sharing it proudly with others. I get this feeling almost, Gemini, of like wearing it like a badge of honor. Like, this is me. This is what I survived. This is what I'm capable of. And now and this is why I not to say that we all have to earn sitting as the emperor to our own empire, because we each are that. We can live our life. Only we can be the emperor in our own life experience. But there's a sense here of now you understanding that, of realizing I don't have to earn being there. I get to just be there. I get to be the authority in my life experience. And that's it. Period. Hard stop. Okay, so let's see what you mastered in this last cycle. Well, let's see what Gemini needs to know about this last cycle here. Yeah, I guess for many of you, Gemini, this is going to be a very powerful new cycle for yourself. Yeah, so we have the World coming in for the King of Pentacles for the last cycle. Yeah, so that's a hard stop. The World does speak to a major life cycle coming to an end, but it's also where you get a chance to celebrate yourself, to celebrate how far you've come, to really look at all of those kind of challenges that you overcame, and to look at the lessons learned and get ready to be able to apply those in the next cycle. And then we have the Nine of Cups. Beautiful energy. So what you really mastered was gratitude, of being able to look at what you have in your life, to be able to share that, to come from that place of expression, again, from what you're grateful for. But there's also a sense here that there was a wish made. The Nine of Cups can speak to kind of that heart's wish for the 10th cup, and the 10 of Cups is that kind of ultimate heart's fulfillment. And I think for many of you, there's a sense here that you've mastered, in this last cycle, you mastered being able to bring in a lot of emotional abundance, but you mastered a level of gratefulness, of gratitude for what you have. And you're able now to carry that into your next cycle. There's a feeling here that you have a lot to be grateful for. There's a major level of emotional abundance you're bringing into the next cycle, but there may be that kind of like heart's wish. There's like this realization as the cycle is closing out that there's like that one missing piece. And in this next cycle, you're going to be finding that missing piece. You're going to be getting closer to the 10 of Cups. It's almost like this next cycle is in pursuit of that 10th cup. And it'll be one that is very empowering to you, and one where you might, for some of you, which is very interesting, this is just an intuitive hit that I'm getting. For some of you, there may be something around the sharing of your story with others where you might be able to capitalize on that. You might become the authority based on what you've gone through. So there is something like that coming through, and that might be, for maybe a couple of you, something that comes in where you're like, okay, I'm going to be the person who now has a seminar on this, and I'm going to share from my personal experience. Very interesting. I really like that. And then we have the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck, really speaking to a massive change in perspective. This can be where maybe the whole cycle coming to this point was one where you maybe felt like you didn't have a lot to be grateful for, or you didn't feel abundant. Maybe like you had to build, these cups, one cup at a time. And now you're seeing something from a whole new perspective. You're either seeing where, again, you have a lot to be grateful for, or maybe you didn't see that previously, or you're seeing, again, how far you've come and realizing the authority that maybe you gave over to others in your past cycle, and where now you can kind of take that back in this. But also, I think for many of you, you're realizing the strength in your own story. You're realizing what you've gone through. You're realizing what you're capable of, and you're realizing how that is what makes you so powerful. And it's why you are it's why you sit on your throne. It's like one of those things where you might, walk by the king somewhere and you might ask, in some foreign land and be like, well, why is he the king? And somebody would say, well, let me tell you his inspiring story. And it's almost like that. It's almost something along those lines where I think for many of you, there's this change in perspective of yourself and your story and what you have to be grateful for, but also seeing it now as that, again, badge of honor of why I am the authority, why I have the right to sit on this throne in my own life. And that's going to be I think this is a really empowering week for yourself to really give yourself the kudos, the pat on the back, and get ready in this next cycle to really, again, ascend to your throne. And also ascend to this, realize in the next cycle, there's going to be a sharing of what you've learned, that is going to be kind of your superpower. And it may be something where you do find a niche to be of service to others in sharing your story or just sharing your life lessons. This could be even where you're realizing that you get to be the matriarch or the patriarch of your family, and you get to share those life lessons with the younger generation, something along those lines. Okay, I will leave it all there. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead, Gemini. If you'd like to book a personal reading, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. Otherwise, the full July tarot scope for each sign is up on my channel if you'd like to view yours. And August's full tarot scope readings will start to be released as of the end of next week. But if I don't see you there, I will see you next week for the next weekly Tarot Bite reading. Bye, Gemini.